If you go back toward the end of last year and the first part of this year, there were a series of analysts that did an assessment of, how's RPA doing? Now, if you look at this overall satisfaction levels on all of the parameters and dimensions that we measured were in the 90s, compared to 58% for the general market. We identified 7 management practices and behaviors that, in our view, underpinned that exceptional level of performance. So if I look at quick wins versus strategy, if you are in an organization and you want to know how serious the organization takes this initiative, look at who they put in charge of it. 70% of Blue Prism implementations are led either by someone senior in the operations or shared services or somebody from the C-suite. 25% come directly from the C-suite. Second, cultural embedding. Embrace it, internalize it. And the way to do that is by insourcing your deployment instead of outsourcing it. This creates an ownership culture within the organization around RPA so that it is not something that's being imposed, it is something that is coming from within. Planning versus opportunism. The message here is that it's about something bigger than just automating a few business processes. In terms of governance, you saw the strong recommendation in the ROM for establishing a center of excellence, and you can see here over half of Blue Prism customers say that is the unit that is responsible for governance. Platform versus tool. We've identified 3 different technology journeys depending upon where you start. On the left, what we call robotic desktop automation, primarily an assistive technology, very valuable and useful in certain instances. Second journey, which is more consistent with the Blue Prism journey, is a platform-based model or cloud-based model across the enterprise. This model takes time on the front end to configure and develop and redesign processes instead of just automating what already exists. The third journey is one we call software development kit. And that involves upfront buying a lot of interface software and hiring or conscripting developers, because you need a lot more development expertise to use this model of RPA. Change management. So we asked, what do you do with the FTE savings, the hours that you give back to the business? The first and most often cited was taking on more work without adding more employees. So being able to handle larger business volumes without recruiting more headcount. Followed by redeploying workers within the business unit that was undergoing the RPA implementation and reducing FTE requirements from outsourcing suppliers. Value measurement. Assessing value is important in measuring IT implementations. Just ROI is a limited way of doing that. So we are proposing and developing a new value metric. We call it total value of ownership. And total value of ownership manages to include, on the left-hand side, the costs, but on the right-hand side, what are the benefits that come from implementing these technologies? There's an efficiency bucket, which is faster, better, cheaper. Effectiveness, which is really about getting greater value from the workforce that we have by putting them in more value-creating jobs. And then there's a third bucket that we call enablement. And in this case, it's creating and using analytics to develop new products and services, improve the customer experience that we give to our customers, all of this leading to increased revenue and profit. So if you step back and say, okay, all this is fine, but what's really happening here from a macro point of view? Well, automation makes things faster. We are seeing what I call a change in the rate of change, delta R delta. And that affects not just the process or the department or the function or even the enterprise itself. It goes forward and backward into the supply chain and forward into the customer and outwardly into the environment. So we are seeing a general acceleration of change in almost every business.